Have some fun tonight. Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the copy? Right foot down. We got to go, player. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Boy. Yeah. I'm done with it. Fix your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Doing great. Ridiculous, man. Holy. You see that? Holy cow. Good job, man. Two times, baby. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah.
250. 250. That is how many times that we have gotten together on a Wednesday night, whether all four of us were here or two or three, whatever the number is. 250 episodes of NWP that all started with a guy that looked like a weird radio host with no hair, with a bad camera and bad mic, with another guy who was awkwardly sitting in a bedroom. That is what started NWP and has progressed to what it is today. I'm glad to be here, joined by the three hosts besides myself, Eric Estep and Darian Gilliam and Jarrett the Iceberg Lundberg. I am so happy to be here for you guys. But every one of these milestones we get, Mrs. Danny B, Mrs. Claudia B, she always does something a little bit special for us. And I can't think of a better way to start this episode off with the 250 episode NWP cake. And what a better image than the Out of the Groove daily downforce car that had all of our channels featured on it at Darlington earlier this year. What a great moment that was in the history of NWP. And it's one we'll never forget. And we've got a lot more memories to make along the way. Guys, let's get right into it as I cover up this cake. Give me one moment. I need to make
I'll be over after the show, by the way. Just
okay.
I can taste it from here.
For a slice. He's coming over to get him some of that. That's covered up. We're out of the way now. Let's get off the cake for a little bit and let's get into some hot takes. Eric, you are going to start us off tonight.
What's Spencer saying? I'm caked up with excitement. What does that mean?
Caked up.
Yeah, well, we appreciate everyone being here. 250 episodes. My gosh, it's been a whale of a ride. We're a quarter of a millennia old or something like that. My math is a bit off.
It's our semi-quincentennial episode.
Oh, try saying that 5 times fast. My hot take has to do with probably the only playoff driver this weekend who made a mistake. We were talking about this earlier in the show, but most weeks of these playoffs, there's a few playoff drivers either crashing, making mistakes on pit road, whatever the case may be. That didn't really happen at Las Vegas. All 8 playoff contenders finished inside the top 11. That includes Martin Truex Jr., but Martin Truex Jr. left some points on the board when James Small inexplicably left him out at the start of stage 2. My hot take isn't that, what a terrible decision by James Small. But my hot take is more that I think fans should lay off James Small just a bit. This was a bad decision. This was a bad moment, but I've seen many fans calling for James Small to be fired. All right, it's finally time to admit it. Truex needs to move on. And I just say pump the brakes. I think there are a couple things about James Small that we need to remember. First and foremost, not even 2 years ago, they were in position to win the 2021 Cup Series title together until a late race caution at Phoenix allowed Larson to beat him on pit road. And another thing I think that needs to be considered is that it takes a special kind of temperament, I believe, to work with Truex. He's a pretty chill guy when he's not over the radio. You can hear with James Small, they like to spar back and forth a la Jimmy and Chad. But even back in the day, the classic quote, "You're all fired," when his pit crew made a mistake on pit road. Truex can get hot under the helmet. And I think James Small, more even keel, a little more laid back, got that Australian accent, is the right temperament to work with Truex. So I know I'm going over my time, but while the mistake on Sunday was bad and could cost Truex a spot in the championship 4, I don't think we need to necessarily look to fire James Small so quickly. I think he still is one of the better crew chiefs in the garage.
Well, I have a hot take that I actually kind of teased last week. I was about to say it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to save it for the hot takes. And this is mine. And it probably has nothing to do with the race itself, unless you're talking about in the back. Though I think things would have been very different had this season went differently. And I'm going to say this. This season, without a doubt, will be the biggest missed opportunity in Chase Elliott's career. And here's my reasoning, and here's why I think that had he run the full championship, if their mojo is not interrupted by injury, by suspension, by everything else, I think he would have won the championship this year. Chase Elliott, even in his worst season, has been one of the most consistent drivers in a nerfed down field. This field is inconsistent. I think the best average finish is around 13th. Chase Elliott, if you were to look at who scored the most points per race, and you put Chase Elliott's next to everybody else's, he's second or third. He's right up there with William Byron. He's better than Kyle Larson. He doesn't have all these DNFs inconsistencies like that. I think that this would have been Chase Elliott's year had it not been interrupted by the injury, by the suspension. And 20 years from now, looking back on 2023, this will be the year that is the one that got away for every reason under the sun. And I think he's a championship favorite for next year.
This whole, as far as the ratings is concerned with NASCAR races, this whole it went up against football, yada yada yada, it doesn't seem like a good enough excuse to me anymore. And it's funny I say that because I was just at an at a football game with Danny a couple of weeks ago, actually. So but this is nothing new. The playoffs have been going up against football for years now. It's almost the NASCAR's version of whether it's the chase or the playoffs have been around for 2 decades. And I remember on the this old show on Speed called Pit Bulls, one of the reporters stated NASCAR's ratings will increase 10 to 25% because of the playoffs. Yeah. Look, even exciting playoffs just don't do it really. And I don't know. There's a lot of factors that definitely factor into this, popular drivers perhaps not being, in championship contention from, some races not being, the best in terms of, on track product. But to me, this whole thing of football's that's the number one reason, yada, yada, yada. It's overblown to me. I don't buy that for a second. It's one of the reasons and has been for a while, but it is not the main reason.
So my hot take is something that I was talking about a little bit on Twitter this week, if you guys saw this. And it's kind of sad for me and Nashville and some of the other guys around here. I believe NASCAR is no longer trying to make their awards ceremony a big deal like they have in years past. I look back on it. Last year was announced in September of 2022 that the NASCAR Awards and Champions Week would return to Nashville. We're 3 races left in the season, and there has been zero confirmation of where that would be, when it will be, or if it will even be at this point. And last year we saw the Burnouts on Broadway go away, and not sure if that was going to come back. Well, now we ain't even sure what's even going to Nashville. It could even be something as small as a private ceremony at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, if they even have it. I'm going to go on a hot take and say, I think they just don't care about that anymore. This has been such a weird year that we waited so long to even get the schedule for next season that something like this, as simple as celebrating your champion at the end, just don't care about anymore. And it seems like that's been put on the back burner by NASCAR.
Damn, I'm going to finish last in the hot take thing. I already know that. Everyone else's was great.
It's funny that you bring up the award ceremony because last night I just couldn't sleep. I just, you ever have those nights where you're just swimming in your head and all. And so I couldn't sleep. And so I started looking up just weird stuff. And I decided to rewatch parts, not the whole thing because I'm not going to sit up for 4 hours. But I actually rewatched parts of the 04 and 06 awards banquet. Man, that was actually entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so the 04 one started off with Bill Weber ripping on, and again, the reference here, pit bulls.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after that, I fast forwarded to Dale Jr.'s speech, and man, he's gotten better at public speaking. I think that I was better at giving speeches in 2018 than he was in 2004, and that's saying something, man, because I was bad. But then there was what's his name? The dude that ripped on Danica that one year at the awards banquet. I didn't realize
the actor. That long. The actor, yeah. He also did, yeah.
If you're a D-list actor, you can make it as a NASCAR awards banquet.
He had some funny speeches in the 2010s, though. There was a few years. I forget. I don't remember his name either.
But I was just so blown away by how entertaining it was and also how dated it was. But the funniest part is Kyle Busch saying the wrong girl's name when he talked about his girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
that's
an all-time.
I've seen that clip.
All-timer. Yeah, that's an all-timer.
And it wasn't Samantha he was talking about.
Yeah.
I think what did he say, Eva?
Yeah, or Eva or something. I don't know.
Imagine if NASCAR was at the point where we could, literally afford to get some big names, like have a Pat McAfee hosting the awards.
Nah, hey, you know what? Based off this weekend, they'll probably get freaking Nick Cannon to do it. Watch, get Nick Cannon to host it with all of his 13 kids in attendance.
Oh.
You could fill an auditorium.
Yeah.
One kid for every 2013 playoff entrant.
Yeah, sounds like he can fill a racetrack too. Anyways, so
let's move into the
Jay Moore. That's the name of that comedian or the actor guy.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of segue into that, I think a lot of Jay Moore's time at the awards was held in Las Vegas, where we raced this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into it here. Kyle Larson, I said it in the title of this video. Kyle Larson is locked in. He will once again be contending for the NASCAR Cup Series championship when we go to Phoenix at the end of this year. Fellas, what do you think about Larson's big victory?
Who has two thumbs and picked Larson from the start of the playoffs season and the whole time to be the champion? This guy. Woo! No, I'm not saying he's going to win the championship, but I'm not surprised.
Don't stick to your guns.
Yeah, you stay. Hey,
no, I'm saying I'm not guaranteeing it because it's a crapshoot. Like he could get taken out. But I'm saying
he's not getting taken out of Phoenix. Phoenix isn't. Yeah.
I mean, Chase Elliott got taken out last year.
He took him. Well, he took him. Yeah. Well, he took himself out. You could argue.
Yeah, he pulled the Carl Edwards, but but I'm not surprised at all. I think Kyle Larson, whether he's statistically the one to beat every week, has the speed to be the one to beat every week. Kind of like me on the hot take poll.
Yeah,
I see that, man. You got 50% of the vote. That's impressive.
Well, I think it's because mine kind of took away from the other two this time for once.
Yeah, 7%. Anyways,
this is why we only have a two-party system. Larson, though. Sorry, back to Kyle Larson. Yeah, no, dominant win. I agree with basically everything Jared said. The first round of these playoffs, it was Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson were the two clear fastest cars each week. Since that first round, I think Larson has separated himself from Denny a bit. Like Denny was still fast in the second round. I think he had a couple top fives, but he had just a horrible race at the Roval. And then Las Vegas, Denny was fading towards the end, fell back to 10th, while Larson, obviously, maybe faded a little bit, fell into the clutches of Christopher Bell, but still held on for the win. So, no, just a dominant performance. And I think the last time Larson won the first race in the round of 8, 2021, he went on to win the Cup Series championship. So that speaks to your pick, Jarrett. I would make sure I would stay tightly close to the Larson bandwagon. You're not even on the bandwagon. You've been there since the beginning of the year. I can't even call it a bandwagon with you. I'm impressed.
Driving it.
Yeah, you're driving the bus.
And hey, just take a look at last year when Logano won. I mean, I don't think he was he wasn't the clear championship favorite by no means, but after he had won, he was already locked in, got some extra time to prep for Phoenix and stuff. So that's definitely going to help. And, based on the trends happened in 2021, 2022, and now might happen for a third year in a row where the winner of the first in the first race of the round of 8 goes on to win the championship. And right now, out of the Hendrick stable, clearly, right now, Kyle Larson has all of the momentum. But of course, William Byron, trying to win a championship, trying to be that number one guy, trying to make it a trifecta of Cup Series champions at Hendrick isn't too far behind either. So I think it'll be a matter of time before he locks his way in, whether it's this week or at Martinsville. I think it'll happen. But if you're a Larson fan, hey, you've been through a roller coaster, but hey, it's worth it now.
Well, Duke Chronic in the chat was saying Larson's save might have won him the cup.
Oh,
that was a hell of a save.
That's right. Forgot about that. Thank you.
It was such a quintessential Larson win. Great speed, but he almost wiped it out trying to get too much. Yeah, right there. And then thrilling finish against a dirt rival of his. Like it was just such a Kyle Larson. Say what you will, he is fun to watch. Whether he's checkers or wreckers, I mean, that's thrilling. All or nothing is fun.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, that's the difference. That's the difference between a championship and being out of the round of 8 there. So yeah, could have been a whole lot worse. But yep, congrats to Larson. Yep, good win.
Yeah,
How about that
Bell
finish?
definitely gave it all he had there at the end. But speaking of missing rounds and stuff like that, some guy who has not missed, surprisingly, is Martin Truex Jr. And once again, he's plagued by some bad strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier. I just don't understand why James Small left him out. Like, Truex has had a terrible playoffs. They finally had a smooth opening stage, qualified top 5, stayed in the top 5, got some stage points. So what did he do? The first chance he got, he decided to be a contrarian instead of just do what everybody else does, come back out there, 5th or 6th place, keep your track position, equal tires, keep racing. They decided to take an early gamble, lost 15, 16 spots, lost out on stage points, and they just never really recovered. Because once you get back there around 15th or 20th, these cars are so equal. Even at a track like Vegas with 3 grooves where you could pass, it's hard to fully recover. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy that a mistake, just a lapse in judgment on lap 80 could effectively derail your playoffs. But Truex went from being 15 points up to only 2 points up, and he finished inside the top 10. That's all because they blew stage 2. That's how important stage racing is this late in the playoffs.
Well,
Yeah.
and the crazy part for me, just personally on this, I don't usually do this because I'm always paying attention. I'm always writing down notes, during races. Like if you watch a race with me now, like in the last year and a half, 2 years, I have like pages of notes for every race, just whether it's talking about it after the race itself on here. I had to probably for the first time all year rewind it so I could hear straight like that was really what he did. Like I thought I was mishearing it. That's how out there it was for me. And I'll just say if he came in, what'd you say? How many points did he come in to the good, Eric?
15.
And he's 2 right now.
Yeah.
If he misses it, it better be by more than 13 points. Because I'm just saying that is just I don't want to say catastrophic because I think that's overblowing it because he could very well come out and be as fast as he was last year and outdo a Larson instead of getting turned on pit road. But it feels like there's that half step missing that was there last year even though he was not in championship contention and form. And I don't know what it is because even Denny Hamlin, Denny isn't going to go out there and be like, my teammate sucks. He's going to miss it. Like, he's not going to say that, but even he let it slip on his show this past week that he's like, something's not there. Like it was there earlier in the season. It's not there. And if somebody that close to him that's next to that team in their meetings is saying that, I don't know if it's something that can be fixed in 2 weeks. Because I feel like it was just James Small outthinking himself.
Yeah, and that's sort of been the theme for them, every now and then. Like they'll look great on these, Monday races, king of the Mondays, winning all the time.
Yeah.
And then, they'll have, lapses, like this. And it's really, and the way Truex's playoffs have played out this year in 2023, it seems like, obviously he's not doing this on purpose, but it seems like, hey, just survive in advance, just barely make it in, just sort of, do whatever. And I don't know, like I don't think that's really going to get you, in the championship 4 usually. Like now, if there's a season where, okay, there's a ton of chaos and, in the NASCAR playoffs, then sure. But like in this type of playoffs this year, it's like everyone's not really making a whole lot of mistakes so far. You know what I mean? Like, compared to years past. So I don't know, like they just got to step it up and, most importantly, get those stage points. If they would have gotten those stage 2 points, we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Yeah, I don't want to gloss over his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate Christopher Bell either. I feel like we kind of skipped over the finish of this a little bit. Yeah, I just kind of want to ask you guys, like Bell was really hard on himself. I don't want to say really hard, but he was definitely down on himself. He said, hey, I let my opportunity slip away, whatever. He's minus 2 points right now. He finished second and he's still 2 points out. He gained on the cut line, but he's still below it. I don't know. Do you guys think he could have done anything different that final run or even just exit turn 4. It looked like Larson kind of shut the door on him, but I don't know what y'all think.
Nah, I think I mean, look, if you want to nitpick it, then maybe like could have entered maybe a tad bit higher, maybe, and then have a better exit off of 4, and then maybe go down to the apron and stuff. But like, I don't know, like in that situation, once you look back, it's always, woulda, coulda, shoulda. At the end of the day, like he raced him fair and square, like, there was this screenshot from last year where like after him and Bubba had wrecked, like he had gotten into Bell a little bit. Well, then there's a screenshot where it looked like he turned him, and I was like, oh, he turned him for the championship. But like, nah, like that was just clean racing, straight up, all the way. And I mean, like he's obviously going to be upset because he wished he would have won it, obviously. But other than that, hey, not much you can do.
And
Who was the lap car they were coming up on at the end? Was it Todd Gilliland? Was that who they were coming up on?
I think it was Gilliland.
Yeah.
Because I was watching that and I was like, oh, this is either going to screw Larson or it could help him. And ultimately, it looked like he was coming up on him, draft. And then he just had to go up to not get stuck behind him and ultimately kind of put Bell right behind him. So I don't know if there's anything Bell could have done differently there.
I think it's, the only thing he could have done differently is something I don't think he wanted to do, and that's just flat dump him.
To wreck him,
but they have respect for each other.
But I don't blame him for being that upset by it, because we've seen this in the past where somebody in the first race has this awesome run or has this chance to win or has been really good all year, and that one race was their opportunity. And the first one that comes to my mind is Kevin Harvick in 2020.
Bubba last round at Kansas.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
didn't work out for him.
Or Texas.
No, I'm
Texas,
not.
my bad.
Texas.
But that's what I'm thinking is that like Homestead is a wild track. Things can happen. You can get up into the wall and be a top 5 car all day to 20th. Martinsville, one bad pit stop and you're screwed there with the way that the package is right now. So this could have been his chance, and I think he sees that.
I'm not personally worried for Christopher Bell. I mean, he did win Martinsville a year ago. He with his dirt track background, Miami's a track that if you're good at running the top, it should be good for you. Theoretically, this suits up well for a dirt tracker to be able to know how to run a top line. So I'm not really worried about Christopher Bell. I think he'll be okay. We'll get into more of the playoff grid here in a minute, but I ain't too worried about him.
Me neither.
No, I don't think that off of how he's run before I'd be worried. It's just it is with these 3 races, with how good a Tyler Reddick is, Truex is at Homestead, and then at Martinsville. Like the thing that scares me about Martinsville for all these guys is the package. I mean, the package is pretty garbage there. I mean, you can lead the first 100, what is it, 141 laps, and then get caught in traffic and really never be a factor the rest of the day.
Or you can run 2 laps down and then just have a good strategy and finish P2 at the end.
I mean, that's, I think, where I'm most worried. I feel like this one, it's weird to say because I love Homestead, but I feel like this is the lull before the boring storm. I don't know the best way to put it for Martinsville, but that's kind of how I see it.
It's the storm. There's no... Yeah. It's like the storm before the calm almost. I don't know if that's a saying. There's a saying in there. We're just missing it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I guess now that I think more about it, I guess there's probably some fans out there that are like, okay, like this is for sure going to be like, the last, like, some fans thinking this, like for sure the last good race of the season or something like that. Just based off of the next 2 tracks, I guess.
I'd have to go back. I haven't rewatched last year's Martinsville race in quite some time, but obviously remember the thrilling finish with Chastain.
Yeah.
But before that, I still remember NBC pulled out the triple screen broadcast. So there was stuff happening. Like like Martinsville, the cutoff race at Martinsville seems to be immune to the next gen shortcomings. That's what I think we can hope for.
I think, and then I think we talked about this before the show a little bit. My worry is like everything that went right to go crazy in 2022 has went kind of the opposite way in 23, where I won't say it's necessarily boring because I think that this race was good. Like I thought it was. I know a lot of people were criticizing it. We'll talk about it in the poll in a bit, though. It was pretty highly rated. So I can't say for sure yet, just because it feels like, at least, and maybe it's because we're used to it, it feels like the package for the short tracks, it at least feels like this year is worse than last. I can't get nightmares of North Wilkesboro out of my head right now.
Oh, and y'all saw that in person too.
I mean, it was
can't
pretty cool to
imagine.
see in person.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, but the racing product though. But yeah,
Yeah.
What did concern me on Saturday were the tire issues because Larson, I mean, let's add this to the weekend. Larson had a tire issue 10 laps, 15 laps into practice, just like his teammate Chase Elliott. And Elliott crashed out and had to go to a backup car and was a non-factor on Sunday. Larson was able to nurse it back to pit road. Honestly, that was the difference of his weekend. Imagine the difference if both Larson and Elliott went to backups. I don't think Larson wins on Sunday. We saw some tire issues in the race. I know there was a few drivers that had some cut tires. There are also a few drivers who just spun out and then blew tires. So ultimately, though, outside of Jones, I think even Hocevar's spin, I thought for a second because it was a second Legacy Motor Club car that was a tire issue, but I think Hocevar just spun out and then had a flat tire as he was spinning. So I don't know, but either way, I don't know. I was glad that tire issues weren't a big problem.
Yeah, the biggest one stood out to me was the Ty Gibbs one. That was definitely one of the more weirder ones we saw in the race on Sunday.
So let's take a so what exactly happened with that? Because I saw bits and parts of it from that part of the race. So the tire got loose, right? But it was still attached to the I don't know. Like it didn't come off automatically, did it?
It was just close. They came off like on the restart, like a lap in, didn't it?
Something like that, or at least close to it. It definitely gave one of the most odd shots that we probably saw of the day.
Yeah, because
it was like the entire, just the tire part of it came off. It sort of like just all came apart at once, like a Lego set almost, or just like each individual part just started falling off one after the other.
But when it happened, But when it happened at first, like, was it like, did it look obvious where it was like, oh, that's definitely falling off, or like, oh, it's a flat?
I mean, in the chat here, Duke Chronic says that the rotor cut the rim off. Okay. So I think that's that because it wasn't a normal like tire flying off like we've seen the last 2 years.
So when that come off, it was like tire, but also the rim coming off at the same time.
Yeah. So that begs the question for me. I was like, okay, if I'm the crew, like, do I even like admit that? Am I like, I hope it just blew up? You know what I'm saying, Eric? Like, did I even admit that? You know,
I think it was pretty obvious that they made a mistake. Okay. But yeah, I mean, they certainly like
at least say it, right?
Just say it was an accident. NASCAR in the past has been okay with that. That's a good enough response.
Meanwhile, Ty Gibbs, was saying, man, I had such a good pit crew and they took him away to go win a championship.
Yeah.
and it took them 7 races to have good pit stops, but they're having them, damn it.
Yep, exactly.
No, that's true. What happened? They traded him and then they poof, gone.
Yeah, out of there.
I want to add something. Some folks were talking about Larson doing the IndyCar test. I should have prepared better for this show, but yeah, I mentioned this is a quintessential Larson Sunday with the spin or near spin, the win, the thrilling finish. Yeah, I forgot he also drove an IndyCar at Indianapolis Motor Speedway at 220 miles per hour earlier in the week. So and he won the high limit series championship in the same week. Like that's Kyle Larson, man. Like,
hey, imagine testing it for the Indy 500 being your side quest, like your current side quest. You know what I mean?
It's a good way to put it.
That's the life.
He took all of the side quests from the looks of it. But it might just be Larson season, man. It might just be like full on Larson season right at the end.
Yeah.
And you know what were I want to go over really quick. What were our final 4 picks? Before we get into the rest of this stuff.
I don't remember now.
I don't remember, but I had Larson out though. I had him out.
At the beginning of the playoffs, I had the heavy favorites. I had Larson, Hamlin, Byron, Truex. I modified mine a few days ago before this round. I replaced Truex with Reddick, but the rest of mine stayed the same.
Because I know I wrote down at least last week that I had Larson, Byron, Hamlin. Those 3 have been constants, and then the other one, like it was Truex. I think now I have Buescher, which is I'm not looking great on that one.
He was the only guy who didn't really seem to show up this weekend, and he still ran like 12th or 11th.
Yeah, it reminds me of back in the day with the old chase where they would start at New Hampshire, and like everyone would have a good run. Like it's like you have your cupcake track, like your easy track here. You just Rainbow rode it right into the chase starting out. And I feel like that's what this round is with Las Vegas. Like, as long as you don't get wrecked by someone else's dumb decision, you should have at least a top 12 to 13 finish on the day. That's what it kind of felt like, at least with this race, which is not bad by any means, but you're kind of, I think at this point I'm waiting for the explosion of all hell breaking loose.
Well, for a brief moment, we thought Blaney finished last. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
what was up. So they say, oh, DQ'd, and then no DQ.
Well,
So I
it was a
don't know.
mistake in tempo.
That's just kind of sus, the whole situation.
Yeah,
What's sus about it?
Well, I think they said it was the template that was messed up in the inspection. Which
Well, it sounded like something that could easily have come loose over time, but it was also the kind of thing where, from what I saw, NASCAR kind of went home and said, hey, it seems really unlikely. There's not really a good reason for them to have messed up the shock in that way. So let's double check our equipment. And then they found the error and then made the decision. At least that's the speculation I've seen from folks who probably know a lot more about this stuff than I do, which that at least sounds plausible. You know, teams have messed with shocks before, but maybe not in this way. And so that sort of raised an alarm bell. Like, wait, why would a team do this? Let's double check. And then they found an issue. But of course, the conspiracy theorists will just say it was Roger Penske, greasing some palms, and so on and so forth.
Do you guys want to see the craziness though? Because like the playoff grid changed immensely in the span of 24 hours.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna pop this up on screen really quick for y'all. So these are the current ones that we had leaving the track. This is what we were looking at, and then it turned into this drastic difference: 56 points back for Blaney.
Oh my god!
And then it went back to this.
Yay!
Drastic changes again.
Yay! Back to normal.
So I had to admit, if I'm Ryan Blaney at that point, I'm just I the first thing I think is, what the hell did you guys do? And then after hearing that it was okay, it's fine, then thinking, what the hell did you guys do? Looking at NASCAR.
Just looking at everybody.
I mean, we don't know exactly what happened, but on the surface, I have to respect NASCAR for owning up to their mistake, like taking that PR hit on a Monday night and saying, yeah, we effed up. Here's your points back. Like, I feel like there was a stretch where they would double down on, like, even if they were, unless it was clear black and white, they made a mistake, they would not back down. Hey, the ruling is the ruling. Suck on it. Like, that's kind of where it goes.
They didn't even have to appeal it or anything.
1990, Mark Martin, it was a similar deal where everyone under the sun but Richard Childress said that would not help his car at all. It's been under the specs for a year and a half now, and NASCAR basically said, rule of the land, you better not lose the championship by X amount of points.
Yeah,
exactly. That's how it was.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, NASCAR is like, they were fair in this assessment too.
Denny brought up on his show that it is completely different than when he started out in like in 05, 06. He said that the way that the people running NASCAR now and running the competition side look at these kind of things and look at basically all of it in general with penalties is so different, because in certain instances, like what you see with penalties, they let it slide. Whereas like stuff like this, they would just be firm on it. It is insane the complete difference that NASCAR has. But I agree with you on this, Eric. Like I give it to them. Like they have thrown fits before and they didn't this time. If we're like look earlier in the season, there's a lot of Hendrick fans that thought they were throwing a fit after like Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Well, as far as like we're one race in, we know what the playoff grid looks like now. I don't want to just give my championship 4 predictions on where I sit now, because I think it's going to spoil my race win picks as well. But I will just say, of the three guys in the top 4 not locked in, I think only one of those guys is going to be in the championship race at Phoenix. That's what I will say.
Okay.
Well, the question I see you asked the chat, is Larson current title favorite. And it looks like they're leaning pretty heavily towards yes, he is. And certainly I understand that. He's got the advantage of having 2 extra weeks to prepare. He's won the championship before. Both he and Cliff Daniels are battle tested. That's all fair. He's probably the favorite. But what I think makes these playoffs so interesting is the 8 drivers remaining. I think if any of them get to Phoenix, it's a toss-up. Like last year, and it was kind of the way last year. Like we had Chase Briscoe in the round of 8 last year, and everyone was like, dude, what is he doing here? He thinks he's on the team. How did he get here? But if he'd made it to Phoenix, didn't he win the spring race last year?
Yes.
So like, he would have been a favorite. He would have been a contender. This year, kind of the same thing. Ryan Blaney, even without the penalty, he was the bottom seed coming into this round. What's Ryan Blaney doing here? Probably the odd man out. He's been so good at Phoenix the past couple of seasons. If he gets to the championship, he might be the favorite. So Larson's got to be the favorite because he's locked in. He has that extra prep time. But William Byron beat him straight up on a final restart at Phoenix in the spring. Ryan Blaney, I just mentioned him. I don't know. I think it's going to be really competitive when we get to that championship race.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting.
If Byron gets there, I hope they've got a hat that's like 2 times the size of what they've been bringing.
Yeah.
Jumbo hat.
A big hat championship.
I'll ask you guys. I mean, it is double-digit points for Reddick, Blaney, and Busher. Of those guys, any of them in a must-win scenario to you guys?
I think all of them are. I mean, like you only got 2.
Yep.
You got 2 races left. Chris, I mean, already, obviously 1 spot in the championship 4 is locked in. Got 3 more. And looking at the point separations above the cut line, +9, and then, tied with Truex and Denny Hamlin, +2 above the cut line. Then you have Christopher Bell -2, and then there's that gap right there. So, I mean, yeah, you could go for stage points here and there, but I would assume everyone's going to go for stage points, right? So at this point, with 2 races to go, you have to go for wins. And in the case of Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney, maybe Homestead might be your best bet out of the 2.
I think they're all in must-win situations because, I mean, look at it this way. Martin Truex Jr., I think, got 6 stage points, finished 9th, and still lost 13 points to the cut line. Like, that's the thing. Unless you're going to run top 5 and all the stages end at the finish the next 2 weeks, I think you need to win. And as good as Busher was over the summer, Reddick's been hit or miss. Blaney's been probably a little more off than on. None of those guys are going to run top 5 here from here on out. It's just not. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
I see your guys' point on that. I will speak the devil's advocate that 13 points lost in 1 race, that could be lost by any of those guys up top. It could be lost. Again, this is definitely a lulled race, I think, in a lot of ways. Maybe the calm before the storm before the calm is what we should call it at this point. But that's where I'm looking at is that Homestead, even though it is pretty much a 1-groove racetrack at this point, especially in the daytime, is still an incredibly difficult track to race on. And all it takes is one of those guys running top 5 in stage 2 to spin, lose out on stage points, get chucked back to 30th, and then have all day have to spend trying to make their way back up, or half the day, I should say. So I can't say yet they're in must win. I think Busher's the only one I can say is. But for Reddick and who's it? Blaney, we just talked about him. For Reddick and Blaney, I think they're on the edge. Like I don't, especially Reddick, because he is probably going to get top 5 stage points in both round, be up front ahead of a lot of those guys that he's racing. It is a good track for Truex and Hamlin, and just Gibbs in general. But it's just a good Toyota track. So I can't say necessarily that I think he's in a must-win yet. I think Busher for sure. Blaney, I'm leaning towards it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the exact same way as Jarrett. I think Busher is the most in a must-win scenario. I think these can be good tracks for him, these next 2. But he is the one that I would put in the most in the must-win category.
Ooh, so interesting. We got to split down the middle. Me and Eric on one side, you guys on the other side. We're supposed to be agreeing with each other, I thought, the whole time. No.
That's what makes this show good, is we don't always agree.
Yeah, that'd be boring, y'all.
But speaking of not agreeing, I guess some people did not agree to watch this race. Talking about TV ratings from this one.
Ugh.
It reached a 1.3 rating with 2.194 million viewers, which is down 16.2% from 2022. And in the key demographic, we only hit 267,000 people, which only makes up 12% of the total audience.
And
the playoffs through these first 7 races are down 7.3% as a whole. And the Xfinity race had 810,000 viewers on the USA Network.
Oh, okay. That's not bad, I guess.
And that's not that good either. They can sometimes hit 1 million.
Yeah. Oh,
on cable,
man.
on cable, I'll give him that number on cable.
But the one thing that sticks out to me really quick, the demographic thing. Like, wasn't it 13% last week and now it's 12 again? Like, it just keeps going down.
Week.
Oh, it did?
Yeah,
okay.
It was 13% a couple weeks ago.
Okay, a couple weeks. Yeah. But it just keeps, I don't know, it just keeps fluctuating, like up and down and stuff. But yeah,
I had no football excuse this time because the Titans took their L that morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting also. This is also the first, playoff races you said right there have been down almost, I think all but maybe one playoff race has been down so far. I thought there was one that was up by like 2%. I may be wrong.
Texas.
Yeah, Texas on the come up.
It also was rained out the year before to later in the night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, okay.
For full scope.
On paper, Texas ain't so bad after all. Huh?
But the crowds for the most part for these playoff races in person have looked really great, with the exception of Las Vegas. It looked fairly sparse, even by Vegas's standards. That I will chalk up to the Raiders playing at the exact same time across.
Yeah,
town.
as far as the attendance and stuff, yeah, I will
criticize. That I will at least blame partially on the NFL. But no, as far as the overall ratings decline, I don't know. How do we want to have this debate again? I mean, is it the playoffs? Is it purely that sports like the NFL are getting bigger and NASCAR isn't? And so is it purely less people watching TV, not just cable, but just TV in general? How do we get young people involved? I'm excited about that iRacing video game. I know we all are, but like, what do we do? Where there's so many different paths we could take with this.
I think there's something that NASCAR fans and NASCAR itself need to just come to grips with, and the networks too. NASCAR is a spring and summer sport, and that's how people are going to see it. And when they watch it, is generally because you saw, like, over the summer there were ratings increases, and you consistently the last 2-3 years, I'd say honestly post COVID, have seen where everyone just drops off at the end of the year. I am pro bring back full season points, have stages, do whatever you want, but I don't think it's 100% the playoffs. Damn, my voice cracked more than the ratings did. I think it's I think it's the time of year. I think it's the playoffs itself. I think that though the hard truth that a lot of people need to come to grips with is that NASCAR is the best available thing when the ratings go up in the summer and early in the year. It's generally not going up against any major events for the most part. Especially in the middle of the summer, like it's going against, yes, I know baseball's on, but that is very regional. And I think NASCAR at the end of the year goes from being the best thing on to basically just kind of a niche sport. And people, I think, should accept that. I went back and looked. It's down. The playoffs are down 17% from 2018. I do think the playoffs are part of it. I mean, IndyCar had its most watched season in 12 years. F1, while not up from last year, still is skyrocketing in a demographic NASCAR desperately tries to reach and can't do it. I think you can, you all know we've said it week in, week out. My thoughts on it, like where I think they should go with it. They won't. So how do you make something that has been proven not to work to bring people in? Because it is, I think it is an indictment a little bit on it that, if the playoffs were going to bring people in the way that NASCAR says it would, why is it that every year outside of 2020, which was a very odd circumstance, the playoffs have been down every year since 2013? Like that it is a question.
You raised a good point or question in your video today, Jarrett. Like, I'm trying to think realistically, what could NASCAR do? Because I think NASCAR should have a 30 race schedule. They're not going to do that. That seems almost completely off the table, if not completely off the table. But like, is it even realistic that they would drop the playoffs? We can talk about, hey, it'll go back to a 36 race, every race equal, full season points. But would they actually do that? Would they, like, all the fans you may have lost 15 years ago, 20 years ago, or over the last 10 years, changing the format? Yeah, they're not coming back. And do you risk losing fans you gained in the past 5 or 6 years by changing it? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think realistically. And I'm sorry if you can hear there's like a mosquito truck going by in the background. I don't know if y'all can hear that. It's a loud humming behind my head. But I just don't know if they do change it, how I lost my train of thought, but I'm trying to figure out what's realistic, because I don't think there's any chance NASCAR dramatically changes the format for a long time.
I don't know, because it's not. It wasn't NASCAR that was the driving force in the format changing in 04. It was the networks. It wasn't NASCAR that was the driving force in 07. It was the networks. It was the
sponsor, right? And then the networks.
Sponsor and networks in 04, networks in 07. Then they had the change in 2011, which I think was more of a response to Jamie McMurray. I'll give you that. That was a NASCAR one, but generally staying the same. They changed it in 2014 when ESPN's a lame duck lines up with a new contract coming up, and now we have a new contract.
17 was Monster. Didn't they want something to differentiate from the
yeah.
That's right.
And rumors say maybe Toyota too, a little bit, because of the debris cautions at the end at Homestead, stuff like that. So I think if it was up to NASCAR, they'd leave it the same for 30 years. But you now have negotiations going on when your money races are down 7% from the year before, from a playoffs that was flat from a 6% decrease the year before that, a 17, depending on which race you look at, a 17 to 25% decrease in the last 6 years, when the rest of the season has stayed stable. It might not be the playoffs all itself doing that, but I don't know if the networks are going to look at it that way. I think the networks in NASCAR want to do whatever's going to draw people in. Do I think realistically they're bringing back a full season format? No, I don't. I wish. I've wanted that. I've stood on this hill for 20 years and it's never changed. And I will still stand on this hill, but I understand it's a losing battle. I think that the problem is, I think that they've doubled, tripled, quadrupled everything down, and I think they're just gonna keep doing more of it. Like, I expect changes going into 25. Like, I do. I fully expect it to happen at this point.
That's probably that's probably fair. Danny with these polls.
He's having fun today.
He's having fun. I think there will be changes in the future. I don't want to sound so pessimistic. I think they could go back to a full season format. I just wonder. I just think it'd have to be a long-term play, because short-term you're going to piss off the new fans and you're not going to bring back any of the old fans. But my take on this is, I've said this for a long time, I'm cool with two formats: the one we have now or the Winston Cup format. I don't think we need to keep modifying it in any little way here and there, because that just continues to delegitimize it further and further. I like the current format, but I also want to see the sport healthy. I like the Winston Cup format as well. So I'm good with either one. I'm trying to figure out how NASCAR could come to that decision. Like, what would it take for them to actually throw out this playoff format they've spent decades trying to perfect? And
I'll say I see people in the chat magical thing, it's football. It's went up head-to-head with football for 40 years, college and professional. And I actually looked at it. On Sundays, the NFL is down this year. On Fox and CBS, when it is going head-to-head with NASCAR, the NFL is down. So there's this weird excuse that people have that football is just ever expanding and everyone is watching it more and more. It does not line up with that. Yes, football is big. Of course the ratings are going to go down. That's probably a big reason why we have all this stuff implemented in the first place. But I am sick of the excuses that there's always an excuse, or there's for the longest time in the 2010s, it's always, well, we're not under 4 million. Then it turned into no, we're not under 3 million. You know what? We're not under 2 million. It's about 2 million.
It keeps going down and down.
I hate the complacency that so many people have. It's like, oh yeah, it's just cratering every single week or every single year, or generally trending that way. And it's always something else's fault. It's never what can NASCAR do to improve. And this is gonna blow people's minds because it matters to us diehards, but it doesn't matter to people outside of it. Formula One has proven this. The racing product isn't what's bringing people in.
Agree. It's all the other stuff.
The racing this weekend, I thought, was probably the second or third best playoff race, and it had low ratings.
Chronic brought up an interesting point here. Are people watching it somewhere else, meaning like illegal streams? I think is what he's getting at there.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people doing that, I'm sure. I think the number is far insignificant to really make a big difference.
Here's why I trust the Nielsen side on NASCAR more than I would on NFL or NBA, especially. NASCAR has an older audience, and the percentage, yes, has went down this year, but has been pretty consistent for like the past 10 years on the younger demographic, like percentage-wise. Yeah, maybe there's some magical 800,000 people that are between 18 and 25 watching NASCAR that we just don't know about because they're watching illegal streams. But I think it's more that they're just not interested, especially this time of year when there's so many other things going on. Yeah, again, it's part of it. But the majority, like, are we really expecting a bunch of people over 50 to be finding Twitch streams?
No.
I mean, that's my question here. Like if it is
Good
really
point.
everyone watching on other platforms that people our age watch and younger and teenagers watch, like, listen, my parents, they're on TikTok a lot. They know how it all works. That's good for them. Most people their age aren't. Most people that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, they're not watching stuff on TikTok. Like, so
what is a kick? What is a kick?
Is that what I get?
No,
when I drink
I'm
the
still
energy?
asking what is a kick, really. But
So I think that's my thing is I'm sick of the excuses. I don't think it's all on NASCAR. It's not all on football. It's not all one thing. It's not all the points format, but we've seen the leveling out, and we've seen this before. And people forget from 2009 to 2014, the ratings did not go down. They leveled out generally. They went up and down, but were within a similar range. And that's what we've had since 2018. And now we're starting to see that same cycle that happened around 2014, 15. Like, you're starting to see something similar again. And at that point, I think it's more NASCAR and the network's got to look internally and what do we do differently? What is not working? Not, oh, it's the NFL's fault. Oh, it's always basketball, baseball, whatever.
I'm with you there. Trying to pass the blame off to outside factors only works up to a certain point. I mean, there is truth that cable is being cut. There is truth that there is competition from other sports, but these are trends that have been existing for a long, long time. So to chalk everything up to those variables is lazy at this point and isn't actually productive. I'm just trying to think realistically, what's something dramatic they could change that will bring new fans in for the next year, the next 5 years, next 10 years. And I'm just not convinced changing the format is that answer. And I just don't see a realistic way NASCAR. I'd be shocked if NASCAR did that. Not saying it'd be a bad move. It'd be a risky move. I'd just be shocked if they took that chance.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume, hopefully, over time, if we get a good video game as well as the Netflix series, hopefully that would help. Huge. That would help, Netflix, definitely. It's not going to be it's definitely not going to be an end-all, cure-all.
I thought of this after my video that I made the other day and kind of when the ratings came out, all this stuff. What are the things that we've seen bring the biggest increases to people watching NASCAR since 2018? It wasn't a Hail Melon. It wasn't big ass crashes. It was so Chicago, that was a big one, but that's not sustainable.
No, it's not. It's not. You're right.
Ryan Newman, his crash and the subsequent media attention. Did
that bring ratings?
Yeah, it was a big increase in 2020. I have it right here. So there was 5.5 million. It was about from the Vegas race the year before, it was about almost a 1 million viewer, or about a 500,000 viewer increase. Same with the second race. So that's a big one. The COVID first race during COVID. Am I missing any?
It's big, like the first year of the Clash at the Coliseum, when they do something that's super huge and unique, or it's those I don't want to say viral moments necessarily, but see, I think part of why Formula One is still selling so many tickets, even when the champion's been decided for 3 months, is because they race typically only about once in each country. And so every country, you have a whole people that are able to rally around that event. Each event feels very unique, special, and like I guess unique, like custom. Like it's our home race, and there's a lot of local support for that. And I just think when you have 38 races in America, again, I think this schedule in a perfect world should be cut by 8 to 10 races. Won't happen for money reasons, but if we want to make NASCAR feel special again, you got to naturally lower the supply a bit. And I think that'll cause every race. If we want to do the one race in every market strategy, maybe in the future, that could help make each race feel more like an event.
Because I think the attendance is showing the diehards are there. Like they're there.
Especially in the playoffs, definitely. Like, I mean, Eric, you had said something real earlier, because the only solution I would see, at least like, just, kind of put a Band-Aid on it now, is shorten the schedule. But then, they're not going to do that, because that'd mean less money and stuff. So I feel like it's a similar problem. Like, I'm going to take this to another sport. I feel like a similar situation's happening in boxing right now. HBO and Showtime Sports, like, they're shutting down now. They're completely leaving boxing out to dry. So like, and meanwhile, like the UFC, like they're on a whole nother level now. So I don't know. I feel like, NASCAR, hopefully they don't go down that route where it's like, hey, F1's starting to take over a little bit and stuff, like they just got to get this figured out, man, sooner rather than later, because it was similar excuses in boxing and now similar excuses with this NASCAR stuff.
We talk, I think that's a good one to look at. And I think we talk a lot about the comparison to F1, but what's IndyCar doing that's made IndyCar so much more popular? I think part of it's putting on network TV.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, like that. I think that's the main thing.
So availability, that's the big one. What else though? Because there's a certain, I don't know if it's confidence or just like upbeatness about IndyCar that there isn't with NASCAR, even though NASCAR last year had a ratings increase too. So that what is something that other motorsports are doing to bring in motorsport fans?
Well, first, maybe more accessible as far as in terms of fan experience, maybe, because I mean, obviously, look, you get a garage
could argue
pass
simplicity. You could argue like the simplicity of like is the biggest knock I get that I understand with the current playoff format. Not that it's a one race champion, the eliminations like that. A lot of people get past that. It's the complexity of the rules. Like I've tried to explain to my girlfriend's family who watch sports but don't watch racing how the NASCAR playoffs work, and they're eager to learn. And it takes me repeating myself dozens and dozens and dozens of times to get through to them, and they still forget by the next time I have dinner with them. So it's complicated.
And in general, just
simple.
In general, just less gimmicks too. Just way fewer gimmicks.
It's
and they're talking about maybe, like, I remember there was a rumor talking about adding a playoffs. I'm like, no, y'all are way better off than that.
Didn't the drivers actually strike that down? Like, did the drivers make it? And the same thing happened, I think, with Formula One, where they wanted to do. I remember it was in the 2010s, or I believe it was like right after, I think, Lewis Hamilton, one of Lewis Hamilton's championships. But they wanted to go to whoever has the most wins the championship, and the drivers struck it down before they could even really make a big announcement about it.
Well, usually the guy who has the most wins in F1 usually wins the championship anyway.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
I get what you mean though. Yeah, I get what you mean.
So listen, I really do think that, at least on the diehard side, we're gonna watch no matter what the championship is, and people outside are not tuning into NASCAR to watch the championship. So the points format, to me, like, it's becoming less and less of an argument. Like, now at this point, it's just, I think it's an argument of preference. Like, what format do you prefer? Because for me, like, I'll prefer the full season. I know, Eric, you prefer the playoffs. And there's that mix there too. And in the chat, I think at this point, it's not going to matter what the format is. People are going to watch for different reasons than they did 20 years ago. And 20 years from now, they're going to watch for different reasons they're watching now.
Absolutely.
People are hard to predict.
Yeah. We'll see. NASCAR, please get it together. Please. So,
well,
that's it.
I know some of y'all talked about this. I have way too much power with these polls, but another a poll we need to take a look at the results of.
Do you have a take on the playoffs or on what we just spent 20 minutes talking about, Danny? Not to put you on the spot, but we are on your team.
That's a good point. I
Okay.
forgot.
Okay.
No poll
As far
for
as
his
the
opinion.
As far as the playoffs, it ain't going nowhere. We've had this discussion too many times now. They ain't getting rid of this. They're so far invested into it at this point. Why on God's green earth would they just decide, oh, let's go away from it now? Because I'm sorry, the ship has already sailed for them to try and go back away from this. And at this point, I just don't see it changing.
Yeah, I feel you.
No.
But yeah, Eric,
Danny
you're
has
funny,
spoken.
man. You're funny, Eric. All
Yeah.
right.
You wanted me to answer you? Okay, I will answer you. Yes, there you go.
And now it's time for the poll, the famous iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
As far as what you guys thought about the race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, 18% of you said it was a great race. 57% of you said it was a good race, giving this race a 75% net positivity rating. 19% of you said it was an average race. 3% said it was below average. And 3% said it was a bad race, giving it a 6% net negative. That just sounds like people who were stuck out in Las Vegas and lost money to casinos.
Yeah, nah, Truex fans. That's what it is.
Yeah, Truex fans out there getting salty about it.
Well, the first comment was from Napa Racing fan. So positive, negative, or meme.
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 I know this dude. Meme.
What a finish. Bell nearly beat Larson. 1 HMS car locked. 1 to go.
Damn it. I overthought. Yeah, I was just
stuck.
like James Small. I overthought. Overthought it, man.
Let's see. Looking at the others. So you guys will be proud of me on this one. I actually went and scouted out the gutter comments. So when we get down there, I can read them and I don't have to like check them on air.
Okay, there you go.
But top one here is from Sly Supersonic, who said, I'm proud of Christopher Bell for racing Kyle Larson clean on the last lap. He's a good kid, highly underrated in my opinion. I'm getting the feeling Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain are going to play spoiler for the rest of the year. Ever since the Roval, those two have been bad fast.
Yeah. I mean, like a week.
One race.
Yeah, just one race. Yeah. He's
like,
right, technically.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Hey, he's right. Hey, he's not
been a
week.
Let's see. Ice Car says, love how the radio broadcast said 16 to go here, your artificial drama talking about Christopher Bell running down Larson, and then it actually almost happened.
I was
they
impressed.
was hyping it up. Yeah, they was hyping it up, but they're like, oh, it's actually doing.
Let's see. Twister says, this is probably the most underrated race of the year. This has spectacular racing, comers and goers, and a great finish. Easily a race of the year candidate. I'm not going to go that far, but
yeah, I'll maybe. I mean, at the very least, top 10. Now, top 5.
I'll agree that it's going to be one of the most underrated races.
Yeah,
but it's not race of the year.
Yeah.
Gooey Burger says Busch gets back-to-back top 5s. He's starting to get back on track. It's a little late now. Let's see. JGR for life says, wasn't that great of a race, but the finish made me vote good. Let's scroll down a little. This is dated. X Travel says great till Blaney was disqualified.
You gotta update the comment. Update the comment.
U.S. ship. U.S. leadership. It says U.S. leadership are liars. Average at best.
Funny.
I was like, wait a minute, I'm a U.S. ship. Oh.
Edgy.
Stage winner MTJ says L winner. And then we get to the gutter.
All right.
So
Gutter time.
starting here with Daniel says race sucked because a Hendrick car won. I can see why that's downvoted.
I'm a burner.
KFB sucks says bad race. KFB got a top 5.
Such a hater. He's already out of the playoffs, bro. Like, what are you...
And JoJo says NHRA is so much better.
It's fun, bro. Have you ever been in person? Yeah. Now there is a nitrous challenge where like fans will stand behind while they're, have the engines on and stuff. And yeah, I'm never doing that again. Your eyes burn up so quick, bro. I don't know how people can stand behind it for that long, but yeah,
that's it.
And that'll conclude this edition of the poll. excuse me, the famous iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
Before we go and talk about the strange result of that Xfinity race, it is the top of the hour, and my phone is getting an alert that I don't know. I'm gonna talk about the wrong thing.
I knew it.
Need to focus more on the
Top of
segment
the
ahead,
hour,
not
it's
them
time to read
polls.
it's time for the first super chat stage break, not the other thing I was thinking about.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, bro.
Okay. Well, we want to start off with a massive, and I mean huge thank you to the legendary Jimmy Leos, becoming a member to Danny B Superfans and immediately following it up with a $250 super chat. You generous madman. I appreciate that
Wow.
so much, Jimmy. You didn't have to do that.
Jimmy's the
But I'm
best.
thankful for your very generous donation to the channel. Appreciate that very much. Hi, guys. Happy 250 episodes, and good job for Jarrett for making to all of them, because, yes, he did, in fact, never miss a single episode. The rest of us all have missed a few here and there, but not Jarrett. Perfect attendance award for 250 episodes. Wait, don't you have a perfect attendance award somewhere? Do you still have
it's
that?
right up there. I
Gotta
don't
get
use
an
the
updated
camera
one.
just yet.
Got to get a new one. New
All
updated
right.
one.
And again, thank you, Jimmy. Very, very generous. I cannot believe he did that. NASCarson 2414. Now that we know how to say this, $4.99. Appreciate that. Congratulations, NWP guys, on 250 episodes. Eric, go Texas Rangers. What track from each of you do you think should host the final race, and why? Right now, any place other than Phoenix, I just do not think it fits as the championship venue.
You might as well just bring it back to Homestead, bro.
Homestead or Las Vegas? I like the idea of an interview. Las Vegas is less realistic. Oh, my Astros are bouncing back 5-zip in the fourth inning right now.
Nice.
Homestead.
Yeah, Homestead pretty unanimous here. NASCAR sitting 2414. Appreciate the $1.99 extra. Have a fun time in Homestead, Eric.
Will do. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you'll be there. That's right.
Spencer Purcell, appreciate you being a member for 28 months of Danny B Superfans. Episode 250. Man, what a journey this has been. Absolutely, Spencer. And we're glad to have you on board as a mod at Danny B Talks too, to help us out along the way. Marky Mark, appreciate the $2. Let's go, Blaney. Let's go. Well, congratulations. He got to go around that penalty. Jam Plays Games, appreciate the $1.99. Dang it, now I'm craving cake. Thanks a lot, Danny B.
Bro, I've been craving it ever since
Let
I
them
saw
eat cake.
Was that a cookie cake? I couldn't see it. Was it? Is that
cookie cake?
Mhm.
If there's one thing I love nearly as much as Raising Cane's chicken tenders, it's a
Exactly.
good cookie cake.
It is a tradition of NWP that Claudia brings out a cookie cake for each milestone. Lori Allen, appreciate the $2. Nothing said, just a little one and a little party balloon thing. So appreciate that, Lori. Dynaco Cup Series, appreciate the $2. SHR and Xfinity, 3 wins. SHR and Cup, 0. Didn't think we'd be
Ooh.
seeing that.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about the winner too. Good for him. Good for him.
Matthew Brown, appreciate the $9.99. Hopefully this is a sign that luck has turned around for our number 5 Larson fans. Williams struggled a bit. Chase was unusually slow. And Alex, well, it's about what you would expect.
Oh
Good
yeah.
HMS, go Larson.
That's 3.
And we will pick back up with Manny 18KB when we come back. Appreciate you all once again for your generous donations to the channel. We are funded by viewers like you. Thank you. And now let's talk about the Xfinity race. This was the Riley Herbst domination show that none of us ever saw coming.
I always held out hope that, like, okay, he's starting to improve more, then maybe there might come a time where it's like, okay, he'll either fluke into a victory, but oh my gosh, 11, 12, 13 seconds. Who would have thought that, man? And at his home track too. So, he went to school at Bishop Gorman. So bit of a ways out, away from the speedway, but it's still Vegas nonetheless. And, grew up racing at the bull ring and stuff. Yes, he had the funding, But lately, he has shown at times that it's like, okay, he does have some talent here. It's not like, oh, he's totally talentless here. But, he's also ran pretty good on the super speedways and cup. So, hey, good for him, man. Finally gets the W. But not only that, does it in dominating fashion. Like, I don't know, and they already announced his plans for next year. So hopefully this builds a ton of momentum into 2024.
Yeah, I had heard that he, after the way their season ended, I forget what the track was. They had a couple mechanical failures there towards the end, down the stretch. I kind of heard that like maybe Riley and their group who were bringing all that funding to Stewart-Haas were really upset with the team because the team let them down. They brought a lot of funding to that program and they missed the playoffs this year. Riley could have obviously been better, but really by no fault of their own. So for him to get this win the same week he announces that he's actually coming back to Stewart-Haas next year for another season, only makes this even more special. We've been hard on him at times on this show, and I think justifiably so. He's 3-4 years into his Xfinity career, been in great equipment the whole time, and he finally got a win. I mean, he struggled for a while, but I think this year we finally seen signs of growth that, hey, he may never be a legit Cup Series star. I don't think that's his ceiling. But a legit Xfinity Series driver who could contend for playoffs every year, maybe wins more consistently. I think we're starting to see glimpses of that driver. So I'm happy for Riley. Really great moment for him. And I hope it's just a sign of more to come next year.
I just can't get over the fact that he won by that margin. 15 seconds, over half a lap at Las Vegas. And in the stage era, too. It wasn't like it was a 200-lap run that led to this. I think there was one.
It was a pretty long... It was a long run, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was like maybe 80 or 100 laps at most.
Here's the crazy thing to me is that gap went from 10 to 14 seconds between 30 and 20 laps to go. And then he just rode around and still made up a second. He could have lapped the field. If he would have ran the speed he was going 4 seconds every 10 laps, he could have been close to lapping the field at the pace he was going. So that has to be a huge confidence boost going into next year. Do I think he'll do this again? No. Do I think he'll win again? Yeah. I think that we've seen the improvement as, this year. I'd say let's start at the end of last year into this year, leveled off, disappointment, and now we're starting to at least see that come up again with it. But man, I want to say this, though. Don't let it overshadow the fact that John Hunter Nemechek went from last to second in this race.
He's a beast, ain't he? Him and that team, man.
From a playoff perspective, that is a big story.
Yeah, it's huge. Very huge.
And
but
it's
yeah,
completely overshadowed.
Yeah, but something about these Stewart-Haas racing cars with dominating these Xfinity races, because I remember, what was it? Oh yeah, 2017, Cole Custer won Homestead by 17 seconds, I think. I don't know what it is about this series. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the team in this series, but having random races where a driver and team will pop off. So interesting.
And then I guess the last little bit is playoff wise, Sammy Smith and Sheldon Creed. I think we both all have to agree here. They're both in what must win.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're in must win. Both these guys know they're not in the same car next year. One at least knows where he's going though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. But yeah, no, that's the Xfinity series.
That's the weekend.
Oh yeah, the weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
And now, Nick Saban in Alabama, there's a big orange storm approaching them, but as far as I know, there's a storm coming here right now.
Yes, sir. And it's the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jarrett, go over the news for today.
Danny, I don't know if you saw last week, but we said if we had a drinking game of how many times you bring up Tennessee during the season, our audience would be
I have
dead.
to. I am contractually obligated as a graduate from the University of Tennessee.
I'll keep my mouth shut. Shout out to the Spotify crowd.
I knew you had
for your poll. I asked you guys your favorite video game franchise, and the EA Thunder Series won with 70%. Technics had 9%. As did the OG Heat Series. New Heat Series had 8%. and 5% said other/motorsport games. So
Oh yeah, they just trolling. That's all. They just trolling.
that or the what do you call it? The bar is like on the other side of the world right now, and it's so easy to clear for you. But outside of that, though, a couple things here, silly season wise, to talk about. We talked about it a moment ago. Riley Herbst back at SHR in the 98 Xfinity car, and Matt Mills will take over at Nice in the 42 from Carson Hocevar. We talked about it earlier as well. Kyle Larson has completed his side quest of Indy 500 rookie orientation and testing. Sonoma is going to be repaved before its race next year, according to Bob. The NASCAR Fan Council's weekly survey has asked in-depth questions about the new NASCAR game, about what's important, what stuff they want, what they don't want, and is actually a very useful survey now from the sounds of it. Corey Haim will remain at Tricon in 2024. And then a couple things to end off on. One, spicy. Another one, and another one that has piqued my interest a lot for the next week. First off, Ron Devine, former owner of BK Racing, has been indicted on 4 federal charges for failure to pay payroll taxes. That's a no-no. So maybe I believe Landon Castle will get paid. He was the one that needed to get paid, right? I don't remember. There's so many drivers that need to get paid.
Oh, Corey LaJoy, I know, also needed.
Multiple drivers, including Greg Galding. I think
probably even needs a check at this point.
Greg Galding, yeah, send him a check, bro.
On the bad side of things, TV negotiations apparently are going smoothly, but there's still no sign on when they're official, according to Adam Stern. I'm going to read between the lines and say that's interesting to look at, especially with the discussion we just had about TV.
Yeah.
But back to the internet here, Eric, I believe in 6 days, you have a bit of an event that you just announced to talk about.
Indeed, October 24th. That's this coming Tuesday. Groovy Hollow returns. I'll just lead off. If you want more information, head to groovyhollowraceway.com. That's where you can find the link to donate. Because once again, this event is for charity. It's for the charity Extra Life. We've worked with them the past couple of years. I think combined, we've raised over $20,000 the past couple of years. So we're just looking to continue to add to that total. It's all going towards the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So good stuff, great stuff. But that's
that's Tuesday. One more time.
It is groovyhollowraceway.com. Again, it's next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be broadcast on my YouTube channel. Going to be a lot of fun, Halloween themed costumes, spooky paint schemes, and a whole lot more. And I'll post something about this probably tomorrow, but we do have some incentives for those of you who donate. You donate certain amounts. We have some certain prizes we'll be able to send your way, one of which may include a certain very groovy daily downforce diecast car if you're really feeling generous. So I'll have more information on that soon. But yeah, that's this Tuesday. Can't wait.
Now, quick question: do we know the drivers yet? Has that been said?
Most of the driver lineup is confirmed, but still in the process of sending some invites out. There'll be some familiar names from the real NASCAR world, as well as I'm sure those of you who are really connected to the sim racing community. There'll probably be a few names who you'll recognize from there as well. I know in year one we had Josh Berry win the whole thing. I don't know if he's coming back to defend his title, but we had David Shieldhouse win it last year. So we'll see. I think he will be back to defend his Groovy Hollow title. We'll see who gets it done year 3. It's going to be Cup Series cars at Iowa this time around.
Ooh, so be interesting. Very interesting.
A little different. Yeah, CNAP Racing fans already got the Iowa corn in the chat. So yeah, can't wait.
And that's it.
Ready.
And that'll conclude this edition of the famous lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now back to the show.
And just like that, it's time to talk about Homestead.
Oh my gosh. When have we had a show this quick?
We could talk about drivers 76 through 80 if we want.
Let's talk about the 1,000 greatest drivers in NASCAR history. All right, number 1,000.
Well, did y'all see what else do we talk about? Let's see. We can did you see Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney got into a fight
They
on
got
social
into a
media?
fight. There was beef in
NASCAR
and stuff,
star
bro.
Blaney,
Yep.
Bubba trade
Yeah.
blows on Twitter.
I'll
It was ugly.
I'll say
Brutal.
this. I'll put 10 Monopoly dollars on one of those rage bait, clickbait YouTube channels, thinking it's an actual fight, and then making a video on it. Like, just I'm waiting for the next week to see it, where it's like Bubba Wallace again, who ruined NASCAR, is now fighting with Ryan Blaney.
Lashes out.
I was about to say it's probably going to be titled and thumbnail like, "Oh, Bubba Wallace can't help himself. Oh, he did it again. He did it again." But
Here's something to scare us. I have glasses.
yeah, I was just about to say, what the hell are you wearing?
I don't really need it. These are blue light glasses. I just wear them a little bit when I have to stare at a screen.
Oh, blue. I have those too. Yeah, I got those.
Y'all are all just copying me. I don't know if I like this.
We are. We're slowly morphing into one person.
Yeah.
We need to figure out the height advantage, though.
And then what else? What else was there besides the fight?
I just threw that out there.
Well, I
but
can
yeah.
talk about how Tennessee is going to win this.
Oh
weekend.
no! All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
Okay.
We'll save that for Saturday, Danny. I'll be over. We'll save that for Saturday.
Homestead. Kevin Harvick, this Bud's for you. He's back in number 4 Budweiser paint scheme that he won his only championship in the 2014 season at the track that championship was crowned at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Guys, it looks beautiful. Do we think it can run well in one last try here?
No.
He's not. I don't think he wins, but top 5, he could easily run top 5. He's good at Homestead.
Come on, Eric. Come on, bro.
What?
Come on. All right, top 10. All right, top 10.
Hey,
We'll
he
save it for the picks.
He was like 25th at the start of this last weekend's race. He drove up to like 10th by the end of the first stage.
All right, pick him to win.
I think he fit. Oh, I didn't say win. I said top 5. I said top 5. I want to make that extremely clear.
All right.
Marco Andretti, he is a notable entry to note in the truck race, and he will also be in the number 7 truck at Phoenix as well. This weekend will set the final 4 for the NASCAR Truck Series. They did not race at Martinsville after many years of being one of the only series to go with the Cup Series there. They did not go there for this go-round. John Hunter Nemechek will be in the number 42 Legacy car at Homestead. Hocevar will be in the races at Martinsville and Phoenix. So John Hunter Nemechek, despite it being a Chevy, he'll get some seat time in the 42. So looking forward to that. The Cup Series race this weekend, conveniently named the Forever 400, honoring Kevin Harvick this weekend. This is a 267 lap event. Your stages are broke up: 80 laps in stage 1, 85 laps in stage 2, and 102 laps in stage 3. This race is set to start at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Big NBC with radio coverage by MRN. Weather for this weekend, hotter than what I'm used to up here in Tennessee now here lately. 86 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and only a 9% chance of rain. Your defending winner of this race is Kyle Larson. The Xfinity Series race is the Contender Boats 300. This is a 200-lap event with your stages broke up into 45 laps in stage 1 and stage 2 and 110 laps in the final stage of stage 3. That race is set to start at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on USA of radio coverage on MRN. This weather for Saturday is 86 degrees, sunny, and only a 5% chance of rain. Your defending winner of this race is Noah Gragson. The Truck Series race is the Baptist Health 200. When that race is 134 laps total, 30 laps in stage 1, 30 laps stage 2, 74 laps in stage 3. That one is going to be taking place on Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we've got a double header weekend on Saturday. That one will be on FS1, radio coverage on MRN, and weather, same as we already mentioned for the Xfinity Series race. The defending winner of that race is Ty Majeski. Darian, what's Vegas saying about this weekend?
Oh boy, there is one clear-cut favorite here, and it's usually not like that. It's usually pretty balanced, but they're clearly going one way. Kyle Larson at plus 250. It's one of the smallest ones I've seen. Like, man, they just think he's gonna run away with it. But Tyler Reddick is plus 500. Behind him, Martin Truex Jr. at plus 550, Denny Hamlin 700, and William Byron at plus 750. As for the best of the rest, Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell at plus 1400, Ross Chastain plus 1600, followed by Blaney and Elliott at plus 1800. For the underdogs, Chris Buescher, who's, could make the argument is in a must win, maybe, plus 2000, along with Brad Keselowski as well. Kevin Harvick plus 2500, Bubba Wallace plus 2800, and finally, Joey Logano rounds it out at plus 3500. Now, the fantasy league the fantasy league points for NASCAR fantasy, oh my gosh, it's insane. Now, for the first one, the main one, Sean 48 NY, his lead continues to build. He has nearly a 200-point lead over Denny Delivers. Trevor Sports 98. I don't know, you got to defend your title, but it's not looking too good right now. But me and him are tied for third, and rounding out the top 5 is Polish Victory Lap. Now, as for the second NWP Fantasy League, this has become my most favorite now because I am now the points leader, just 7 points ahead of Room HMS, who's held the points lead all year. What's going on? And then JC_43 in third. In fourth is Race Roar 48. And rounding out the top 5 is 42 Larson 5. And also another favorite, well, kind of a favorite now because I'm starting to do better, the fantasy pick points. What are they?
Yeah, so NWP pick points, we have the chat. You are the leader with 551 points, and you have 14 total wins this season. Eric, you are in second, 13 points back with 13 total wins across the board. Darian is third, 36 points back, 12 total wins across the board. Jarrett, you also have 12 total wins across the board, but you are minus 54 back and forth. And I, although I'm not as bad as I was in years past, I am in the basement, 80 points back with 10 total wins across the board.
Yeah, that face is a perfect description of my feelings too. I'm shocked that I'm in third too. Yeah, so that's a perfect picture for the pick points. But yeah, Eric, what's going on though? You feeling more confident though?
I lost a few points this last week. Hamlin fading towards the end there. He ran top 5 almost all day and then finished 10th. That kind of cost me a potential big weekend, but I feel pretty good about Miami. I think Chat and I will probably agree on 1 or 2 picks, but all I got to do is just scratch and claw. There's 3 weeks left. I don't need to make them all up in one weekend. Just need to gain a few points here and there, and I'll be in business. So I'm feeling okay. I'm okay.
Hey, but Eric, TikTok though.
I know. Hey, needs forward progress from here on out. I can't have any more steps back. That's all.
So, Eric, you lead us off. Who's going to win the truck race?
Well, I really quick, because this is a truck series cutoff race. Right now, Corey Heim is the only driver locked into Phoenix. Hocevar plus 23, Eckes plus 9, who just announced an extension, and Nicholas Sanchez plus 3 are the top 4 currently. Grant Enfinger minus 3, Ben Rhodes minus 5, and then Majeski's minus 19. Zane Smith, little Zane Smith all the way down at minus 36. I think he's going to get the big win this weekend. Ooh. I'm going Zane Smith. I think Zane Smith wins the truck race. I was leaning I think I sent Jarrett my picture and said Carson Hocevar. I was leaning Carson Hocevar earlier, but just before the show, I forgot I changed my mind. So I'm going Zane.
Okay. Of every driver in the field, fate of the universe on the line. You need a win. I want Matt Crap. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Zane Smith is my pick. Zane Smith.
Give me Iguodala.
Dala, exactly.
You started mentioning a guy who needs to be watching himself this weekend, apparently.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am not going to go take his backsies on my pick. I am going Carson Hocevar. I'm giving him the win this week.
I, too, am going with Carson Hocevar, and the chat is obviously saying it is time.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay.
All right. So it's you and me, Eric. Let's see if we can
let's go, Zane. All aboard the Zane train.
Yes. Let's do it.
All right, Eric. Who is going to win that Xfinity contender boat this weekend?
Man, I kind of missed the days Noah was racing in this series and he was the clear favorite anytime they came here. Now I guess it's more fun. It's more wide open. I'm going Austin Hill.
Okay. Wait. Hold on. My bad. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. All right. So hey, we know what happened when this guy raced the last time, coming out of nowhere, running inside the top 5, bro. He's back again, bro. I've seen enough. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is gonna win at Homestead, bro. Hey, I seen enough.
Junior.
Yeah, there we go. See?
I don't care if I'm biased. I don't care anymore. I get, this is special. I get 2 weekends this year to be biased, so I'm taking full advantage of the second one.
Clear favorite here. The Bass Pro Shops car at Miami. It's Dale Jr. this time.
Yeah.
And the chat is who's the chat going for?
It looks like
I see a little mix between Custer, Nemechek, and Junior. So
yeah, just put a poll for those 3.
three.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, for those 3. Yeah.
Well, who's gonna suck?
Mm-hmm.
Suck in the Cup race. I like to try and pick a Cup driver, and I know this guy's had some flashes of brilliance at this track back in the day, but I did not like what I saw from him at this 1.5 mile last week. So I'm going Chris Buescher. Will struggle.
This dude has a track record for running the high lane, and he usually just messes up. Like he just usually just hits the wall too many times, then breaks a toe link, blah blah blah, or like gets into some other shit. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is the most obvious who's gonna suck driver for a track like this.
I'm gonna go Buescher too, just because I always get at least one of my final 4 picks wrong, and this is the one it's trending towards, so might as well go for it.
I'm just picking outside the playoffs here. I'm saying Chase Briscoe will suck this weekend.
And really close poll so far. Very close.
Indeed.
Dark horse.
All right.
Dark horse pick. I'm not going to go with the playoff driver for this guy, but I feel like he's not going to win this year, but he's been so close. I think he's so close to breaking out of his shell. I'm getting a lot of early William Byron from this dude. Ty Gibbs, I think he's going to have another solid top 6, top 7 run.
Solid.
Well, this guy's the future of the team. They're on the comeback trail right now. They're quickly rebuilding. He had some experience in this race last year, filling in last second. John Hunter Nemechek is the easiest underdog pick.
I'm gonna go for the guy who didn't race this one last year, Bubba Wallace.
It's funny. I had John Hunter.
Yeah,
I had John Hunter written on my thing, and I literally scratched him out and switched to Ty Gibbs.
He's like, nah, that's it.
And I'm going to go with the guy in the special paint scheme this weekend. The race is for him. In the Forever 400, I'm going to say Kevin Harvick takes his Budweiser Ford and finishes 4th, actually. Bold take.
Perfect. And it looks like the chat's going with, as far as the poll is concerned, John Hunter, I think.
As far as who they're going for underdog, I'm going to give him the 54. I've seen a few of those.
All right. Seems fair. And I'm assuming we're going to give him John Hunter Nemechek for the win?
Yep. They've had enough time.
All right.
They're going with John Hunter Nemechek. It was close for Dale Jr.
And Eric, who'd you pick again for Xfinity?
Austin Hill.
Okay. Ooh, so they're going another different pick than you.
So
okay.
A little difference here. Things could easily get shaken up.
Hey, respect, chat. Respect to the chat for not just like picking the same guy and like just like, hey, we'll just pat it. So
no, that's a good shout out to the chat. You're right, Darian. Yeah. That is we're playing hard, playing fair, playing fun. Yeah. It's good.
They probably realize they don't want to go with the guys who are currently in the basement. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And now for the main event. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win at Homestead, Eric?
I have a feeling the chat and I and many of us may agree. Kyle Larson.
Yeah, that's the most obvious pick, especially based on the odds, but I'm gonna go with the guy who is right behind him in the odds, Tyler Reddick.
I'm going with the Chevy trifecta this weekend. Kyle Larson.
Split decision, Tyler Reddick.
And
hey, if it's not Larson, it'll probably be Reddick.
I'm looking at the chat right now.
Ooh, what y'all doing?
I
Ooh.
personally saw a lot more fives. I'm gonna say it. I mean, there's
I'm giving it. I'm
45s.
giving it to Larson. I think it's a little bit more clear than you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably mostly Larson.
Give it to Larson.
Yep. Larson goes. All right. There you
A few
go.
Harvicks though. I'm just
So-
saying. I've seen from
Well-
at least 3 different people, 4 different people. Harvick.
Oh.
There's more 5. I've seen more 45 than I have 4, but I've seen more 5 than I've seen those other ones.
So, just to let you know, the minimum points that one of us can score this weekend, before tying and all, but the minimum points one can score, I believe, is 14, and the
Okay.
max you can get with the full sweep is 41. So
Oh, I gotta get that sweet.
I'm
bro.
still screwed no matter what. So
I'm like a very, very outside chance. Darian could actually insert himself into this battle if he has a good weekend coming up.
Hey, just need that luck. We'll see. We'll see. Just need that luck. But yeah, chat. Y'all got the 5 though. Good pick. Good pick.
before we get on out of here, we got more super chats to read. So let's go ahead and pick back up with Manny 18KB. Appreciate that $10. I strongly believe the reason why the sport isn't growing is because there are less and less relatable sponsors. I got hooked on NASCAR when I was 4. It was because of Terry Labonte's cornflakes car.
Yeah, just simple stuff like that too. Yeah,
That's definitely can be a factor, no doubt.
yeah.
That's fair. I mean, can a little kid appreciate HendrickCars.com? Not really.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna go out and be looking for a car.
Can a kid appreciate Ally? No.
Can a
No,
kid
again, he's
appreciate
not looking for a
Budweiser?
car, which is mainly what they're involved in.
Can they
Little kid
appreciate
cannot
Budweiser?
appreciate that, Jarrett.
Yeah, cannot at all.
I mean,
Put
not
that
legally.
platform back on your diecast car. What are you doing?
Phoebe, appreciate the $4.99. You know, Eric lives in Texas when the mosquitoes are big enough to drive trucks.
That made me laugh when I saw that. Yeah.
Ross Crash Zane, appreciate the $2. Danny doing polls like Bowman at Daytona, always winning them.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Alexander Stegall, appreciate the $10. Max Verstappen clinched a 22 and 23 F1 WDC with 4 and 5. Is that the championship?
Drivers'
Yes, world championship. The world champion.
It's just say championship. What is?
No, but Dan, it's the world championship.
Okay, the world championship.
Yeah, yeah.
Clinched it with 4 and 5 races remaining, and 150,000 to 200,000 fans still sell out the tracks, and their TV ratings, I believe, are still up. So I'm pro full season points.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like Eric's earlier point. It's like, it's whole ass countries that are hosting these races,
That's true.
So it's a lot different.
I don't
you know what I mean?
I don't
Right?
I don't want to too strongly take a side. I just don't know that the risk. Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
hello,
Jared.
I
fella.
have the dude.
Hey, sweet. Hey,
I know.
sweetheart.
I know that the chat was asking for it. Sorry.
But
Yeah,
continue.
I was just saying, I don't want to be the guy who's like, no, we have to do the playoffs. There's no way full season will work. Full season
Yeah.
might work. It's just risky. And I don't know if the risk is worth taking at this point. I don't know. Is there other things we can try first to grow the sport before completely shutting down this playoff format we've perfected for 15 years? That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, and also NASCAR, they put themselves in this situation. If you do one thing, gonna complain. Another thing, people are gonna complain. So blame yourself.
And there's the dude.
The dude.
I like how it's mostly yellow until you get to the tail, then it's white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool looking.
Well, you can't see it on the camera, but you can see through her head.
Oh yeah, I've seen that in person. Yeah, I've seen that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, because of the ears.
Picking back up, Alexander Stegall, appreciate the additional $5 you gave. While a winner-take-all finale is awesome, I still want to see a driver dominate and clinch championship by the Roval as well. That's special too.
Yeah, I
Mm,
okay. Hope.
Quinn Spinner, appreciate the $2. How about Lane Riggs getting a top 10?
Yeah,
Good solid
no,
once again.
yeah. I wish he would get like a full-time opportunity, but we'll see if it lines up.
Yeah, we'll see. There's definitely a chance.
Definitely a chance with the connections that him and the Riggs family have. Zach Willis, appreciate the $4.99. Don't forget the Riley Herbst came from last as well. Did he really? Did he come from last?
Oh,
He was in the back.
What? Wow, that's even more impressive.
Yeah,
Wow,
for real.
I didn't know that.
Ross Crash Sane, appreciate the $5. What about the post-race shenanigans from Winchester? between Gio and Nasty, that late model race where the guy got hit when he was
he
peeling
got
out.
sideswiped. Yeah, he got sideswiped, bro. And I
Yeah,
guess that was like one of the drivers' like fathers or whatever. I guess I don't know.
See, like I couldn't tell. Did he know he was there? Was he just going off and it was bad timing?
I don't know. I don't know. Like it looks like it was on purpose, but then it could have been an accident. I don't know.
Well, I don't know
Like,
what exactly. I didn't see what led up to that, so I have no idea. Like, was there
it was
a
it was a
reason?
post race. It was a
Was
post
there-
race deal. So
Was
I'm
there a
assuming
good reason for the two to be mad at each other?
well, I guess they were arguing. I guess like one guy won the race, and I guess one guy wasn't happy with how he was raced. It was like one of those deals. But damn, nobody deserves to get hit. Come on now.
Urban Alvarado said they announced penalties for that, so some penalties
Oh.
did come out of that situation.
Oh, I'm a Google.
Yay.
I'm nosy.
Will Griffin, appreciate the $5. Will the 00/98 doing well in an Xfinity series be enough to keep SHR and Ford together? I don't know if Smoke or Gene care about the NASCAR teams. Maybe JRM and SHR merging.
I don't know. Like I haven't heard it. Well,
At this point, I wouldn't say it happens next year.
no, not next year. And as far as like the motorsport, like the teams merging, yeah, I don't know about that either.
Isaac, appreciate that $4.99. Breaking news: the 42 is to be driven to Martinsville by Matt Kenseth. I'm sure Logano has missed me blowing tires in the turn one.
Yes, indeed.
Eric wants Matt Kenseth nowhere near number 42 ever
Yeah.
again.
And give Jarrett another birthday wish because that did happen on his birthday.
That was pretty cool.
I found this. Gio was fined $3,000, docked 25 points, and was put on probation for all ASA events the rest of the year. And Stephen Nasse got a 44-point penalty and a $4,500 fine, and was also placed on probation.
Okay, that's fair, I guess.
Wow. Wade Lamb, appreciate the $1.99. How can MTJ get out of his funk?
Well,
That's a
first his
loaded
crew
question,
chief,
to be honest.
his crew chief needs to stop overthinking and actually go for stage points. And yeah, I don't know, maybe that's it.
Some of it's luck too. I
Yeah,
mean,
just
you can't
luck
blame.
based.
You really can't blame anyone for the Kansas deal.
No.
That's true. That was random. Grid Flow, appreciate the $2. All sports have playoffs, so why is it controversial in NASCAR?
Because there's sports and then there's motorsports. In
You
sports,
gotta understand
Yeah,
how
go
we
ahead.
have an older audience and they hate new things.
yeah.
There's
but-
also, there's the more like just objective facts of in sports, it's usually one team versus one team, but in NASCAR, it's the same 40
Yeah.
every week. Like it'd be like if the, Patriots and Broncos played each other all 16 games. Do we really need a 17th game, like a playoffs? Like they play each other 16 times.
Well, both those teams, they're so terrible. Yeah, we don't need to see them again.
Yeah, but my point is like between
Yeah.
the two of them, if it was the same two teams and Patriots
Yeah.
won 10 of them, it's like, okay, they're the better team. Like that's just
Yeah.
call it there, I guess. That's one argument.
I think it's the big, and we all for different reasons, whether it's playoffs or different reasons, this irks all of us at different points. The comparison to stick and ball sports with motorsports. There's so many comparisons. I guarantee each one of us has one or two comparisons to stick and ball sports that just irks us with motorsports, where it's just you cannot compare the two with one or the other, and a lot of that for fans is the playoffs as well.
Well, the one that grinds my gears all the time is 16-0 Patriots. Ho ho ho! Remember, ho ho ho! What happened? Okay, but yeah.
Then the last one, I think is a very appropriate one to end on. Blue Jimmy 48 fan, appreciate $2. This is one of the guys who's been there since the very beginning of this show, I feel like.
Yeah.
Blue Jimmy goes way back on this. Cheers to another 250 episodes. Love y'all. And I thought of something. How old was I back when we first started this? I was 22 years old. I'm now 28. That means that likely by the time we get to another 250 episodes to 500, I will be approximately 34 to 35 years old when that happens.
I was 20 when I first joined.
Yeah.
Now I'm 26.
I had just turned 20 like 2 or 3 months, I think 3 months before we started, and now I'm about to be 26. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yep.
My, how the time flies when you're having fun with your friends. But
Seriously.
That'll do it for episode 250. We really appreciate everyone for sticking around, supporting us through 250 episodes of this to hear what do these guys have to say on YouTube about this past weekend's race and the next race coming. Still can't believe this many people want to keep hearing what we have to say, but we're all thankful for every moment you guys spend with us during the week, whether you're listening on Spotify and all of our other podcasting platforms or whether you watch live on YouTube. We appreciate everyone for your support. Join us next week, though, on Wednesday, October 25th. We'll be over on Black Flags Matter over on his YouTube channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for episode 251.
Yeah.
Go over everything that happened at Homestead, and we'll get you squared away for Martinsville. I will be at Martinsville.
No, not Martin. No. We'll give it a chance. Give it a chance.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That'll do it. Appreciate y'all stopping by.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready, green. What the copy? Right foot down. We got to go, Brad. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. It's your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Doing great.